Friends in the Corner, a new podcast experience in the bluegrass state of Kentucky. Welcome back in, everybody, to Friends in the Corner podcast. We're here with episode 10. Can you believe we made it this far? I know I can't, but I want to say thank you so much to everyone who's checked us out and listened to us. At this time, we've had over 500 listens to our episodes here, so just thank you so much for those who've been supporting us. You have no idea what your support means to me. So thank you, and today we're going to be putting out another good episode. But before we do that, I got to ask you guys this. Have you been following us on social media? If you haven't yet, you should. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FITC Podcast. That's FITC Podcast. You can also always email the show at friendsinthecorner@gmail.com. That's friendsinthecorner, all together lowercase, at gmail.com. And also, be sure, if you're listening to us on iTunes or Stitcher, leave us a review there. The more 5-star reviews we get, the more content we can put out. So be sure to do that. But without further ado, let's get into our episode. So last week you listened to us start our new series, So Here's a Story, where I shared with Evan my story of the history of Funtown Mountain and the rise and fall of Will Russell. Well, this week, Evan returns to the show, and this time he's going to share a story with me. His story is entitled The Swamps of Dagobah, and it's a lot more gruesome than it sounds. So, I just want to say in advance, listener discretion is advised, but we guys hope you enjoy the episode as we go. And without further ado, here's Mr. Evan Drysdale. Well, everybody, we're here now ready for episode 2 of So Here's the Story. Evan Drysdale's back with us. How you doing, man?
Still good. Still doing well.
After a whole 5 minutes?
A whole 5 minutes.
All right. Well, only 5 minminutes for us. It's been a week since you guys heard the last episode here. But on the last episode, we told Evan a little bit about the story of Funtown Mountain.
Guntown Mountain.
Guntown Mountain. Guntown, Funtown. Will Russell.
What
Live
great
hangings. Man. Billy Bob.
Billy Bob.
Billy Bob. Going for the hanging. Guntown Mountain. But now we're switching back over here, and we're going to let Evan tell me a story.
Yeah, so here's a story. I'm going to tell it. It's a first-person account. So if I happen to switch back and forth between saying I and saying just describing the event, that's why. I'm reading a first-hand account of this great story that I'm going to preface by calling it The Swamps of Dagobah.
Swamps of Dagobah?
Dagobah. The Swamps of Dagobah. So,
Dagobah, okay.
Dagobah, for the uninitiated, is the planet which Yoda travels to after the Jedi Council has disassembled. They've kind of fallen apart. He goes to Dagobah. Luke eventually finds him there, and that's where he starts his training in Star Wars.
God, we're already off to a better start than mine. Let's go. Let's do this. Swamp of Dagobah.
The Swamps of Dagobah. This is what we're calling. This is what we decided to call this story. It starts out. This nurse is telling this story and recounting an event of one night when she received a call for a general surgery, which is a pretty vague sort of description. You get called in. It's general surgery. Well, this nurse, she lived in a pretty large town. A lot of military guys apparently were around. A lot of avid meth users.
And this is on Dagobah?
This is not on Dagobah.
Okay.
So this is you'll understand the Swamps of Dagobah as we progress. This is a real story.
Oh, okay.
Presumably.
Okay. I thought we were in Star Wars.
No, not yet. Okay. We'll get there. The Swamps of Dagobah will come in. Don't worry. There's probably some of you listening that have potentially heard this story. So this is a retelling, if you will. So this nurse, she lives in a large town. Presumably, I'm guessing if there's a lot of military guys, there's maybe a base nearby of some sort.
Dayton, Ohio.
Could be Dayton. Right, Pat's right there.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a lot of meth users, as there are in Dayton as well.
Yes.
Some late night emergencies, are bound to, turn up. You got meth, military guys. There's going to be some emergencies that happen around with those things. So the nurse, she gets to the hospital. There's a few more details they kind of give her. The first detail is going to be your first kind of glimpse into what this story is going to end up forming into. The nurse gets a call, and she gets the details that there is a pararectal abscess.
I want to ask what that means.
So yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
So a pararectal abscess just means it's something near your anus. There's an abscess, like a blister or a pimple. An abscess is usually like a cyst or like, it's not good. It's what it is.
There's a pimple on your butt.
There's a large pimple on your butt. And usually with an abscess, you have to pop it because there's pus involved.
Mm-hmm.
So needless to say, this crew, the nurse, the surgeon, because this is something you have to kind of get geared up for. You have to go into the OR for.
There's splashback. We need to prepare for splashback.
Yeah, so they're getting ready. They're getting into the OR. The crew, they're not too excited because they have to go and drain the pus out of this.
They got to pop this pimple on this dude's butt.
Yeah. Yeah, pop the pimple. So they went down to the emergency room, and the ER nurse hands the OR nurse, the one telling the story, so the OR nurse, the chart and tells the nurse, have fun with this one.
That's real confident right there.
Yeah,
all right, good luck to you. We tried everything we could, but
everything you could.
Best luck to you now. Have fun.
It's gonna be a doozy.
Thanks, Billy Bob.
So the patient, as this nurse telling the story says, the patient is a 314-pound Native American woman who barely fit into the stretcher that she was being transported on. This woman, the woman who's on the stretcher, the heavier set woman, she's rolling around frantically. She's moaning. She's pulling out all of her clothes, and she's muttering Hail Marys. She's not in a good place right now.
There's a evil pimple on her butt.
There's an evil pimple on her butt.
God bless her.
It took that nurse several minutes of questioning before she could confirm the identity of the woman. So before you go into the OR, you have to make sure the person on the stretcher is the person on the chart.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the chart in front of you. It's saying, hey, we have this abscess. You have to ask the person, hey, is your name blank?
Mm-hmm.
And then that person says, that's my name. And then you go, okay, cool. We got the right person. We can take them back.
Now we're going to build the insurance company.
Yeah, so we're a building insurance company. We're making sure we don't get sued for malpractice. This is why this is there.
Yeah, that's probably a better reason.
Yeah, so they figure out this is the right lady, and it's all good to go. So now that this happened, the nurse is, let's get this. She's like, let's just get this woman to the anesthesiologist, and we'll get her on some pain meds. Just knock her out, get her out of this, so that way we can just get to what we need to do and be out of here. This woman, though, the patient, is continuing her theatrics. She's pulling out her clothes, moaning, screaming.
While they're trying to give her anesthesia?
While they're trying to get her to the anesthesiologist. So they're transporting her across the hospital right now. Apparently, it's like a 10-minute ride through the hospital. So they're trying to push this woman through there, through the hospital to get to the OR, middle of the night. She almost falls off of the surgical table as they're trying to put her under anesthesia.
It's like, no.
No.
No. Get the demon pimple off my butt.
Nurse says that they see patients patients that are drug users, they have a really high tolerance for
my mom was an anesthesiologist. She talks about that. Or told me all
so
about
they
that.
they had to take a lot more medicine to get them under. To manage the pain and all that. So they end up increasing her medicine more and more and more, and it's just not putting her out. Mm. But eventually, I think they finally get this woman off to sleep. But the OR nurse here stops and she goes, this surgical team, this one that she's a part of, to quote, is not exactly wet behind the ears.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're familiar with that saying, but it basically means if you're wet behind the ears, it means you're new. Like you're newer to the game. You don't know. You haven't been around a while. I can't remember exactly what the wetness is. Someone will have to chime in and tell me.
These are all rookies. They've never really done something.
No, these people are experienced.
Oh, okay.
If you're wet behind the ears, you're a rookie.
Okay, so these are vets.
These are vets.
They've done stuff like this. So this is a normal Tuesday for us.
Yeah. So
I don't know why I get a southern accent like when I talk in that voice.
I don't know. It's Vincent though. It's good.
Yeah.
So the OR nurse, she kind of goes in and says, "Hey, this is my experience." She says, "I've watched an 88-year-old man tear a 1-inch diameter catheter balloon out of his urethra while screaming, 'You'll never make me talk.' I've been attacked by an HIV positive neo-Nazi. I've seen some stuff." The other nurse
I've seen a man get hung up on a hill before.
The other nurse had been in the OR as a trauma specialist for over 10 years. The anesthesiologist had done residency at a level 1 trauma center, or as we call them, the knife and gun clubs.
Oh, God.
The surgeon was an ex-Army and averaged about 8 words and 2 facial expressions a week. None of us expected what was about to happen next.
Oh, my God.
We got the lady off to sleep. They put her in the stirrups. They get her all ready for the surgery. They put her in the stirrups, and they have to wash the area that they're about to make the incision on. So they kind of have to wash.
It's full cleanse.
They're washing the whole rear. It's all getting washed off.
Yep, they're nice and deep black.
Yeah, she says it was all red and inflamed.
Oh, God.
So there's a little bit of pus that was seeping out of the abscess. But it was all pretty standard for an abscess. Her chart had noted that she had been injecting IV drugs through her parametrium. I'm saying that word wrong. Anyway, she was injecting drugs in that area.
She was injecting drugs into the pimple on her butt.
No, that's why it was there.
Oh, so it was the
pimple. The pimple is from the drugs.
Oh, God. How do you get to that point where you're like, I feel like the last place I'm thinking is, all right up the ass there, like bend over, get it up.
Now, I don't know if it was exactly in the anus. I don't know if it was maybe off to the side. It said it was pararectal, so it's not rectal. So it's maybe off to the side.
So pararectal is outside.
It's around the area.
Well, what's considered around the area? Like
not actually,
left cheek, right cheek.
Left cheek, right cheek, or within a hand's breadth of that area.
Okay. Still though,
it's still close and not where.
Hopefully, you got a good arm or something.
Somebody else helping you. I don't really know.
Yeah. It's like, hey, honey, can you come in here?
Yeah.
Shoot these drugs up my butt.
And so they noted that she had been injecting drugs there. So it was obviously
this definitely sounds like a story that could take place in Dayton, Ohio. I'm just saying.
So. It very may well have.
Yeah.
So there's obviously some infection from the needles or bad drugs, but the nurse says overall it didn't seem to warrant her repeated cries of "Oh Jesus, kill me now." So this is where it gets going.
Oh, I can't wait.
The surgeon steps up with a scalpel, sinks just the tip of it in to the abscess. At that exact moment, the patient had a muscle twitch in her diaphragm, and just like that, all hell broke loose.
Oh, no. Wait. No. Please. Dear God.
Turns out the infection had actually taken up about a foot of her abdomen.
Oh, well.
So they prick this abscess thinking it's a little pimple. But what's behind this little pimple is about a foot of pus, rotten tissue, and fecal matter that has been inside this woman's body.
Oh, my God. So it just all comes gushing
The
out
surgeon
like a geyser.
pokes the abscess, and the godforsaken mixture came rocketing out of that little incision like we were recreating, this is the quote, recreating the funeral scene from Jane Austen's Mafia.
What a poor guy. He just...
It's a woman.
It's a woman.
It's a woman.
Oh, my God.
So
she goes up there. She's just like, we're just going to pop it. Some pus is going to come out. But
well, the OR nurse, I guess, is a woman. But the patient is a woman as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're good.
So, but just to recap, so she went to go. She's like, I'm just going to pop it. I'll have some pus come out.
Yeah, we're going to pop this abscess. There's going to be some pus. We'll stitch her up. It'll all be good.
But because part of it's the lower intestine, the kidney?
It's the whole abdomen.
Abdomen.
It's the infection had taken over to the point where the woman was probably about to become septic.
Oh, God.
And so there was like her body was rotting from the inside because of this.
And so that just all came.
All of the pus and tissue just shot out.
I would have walked away. I'd been like, all
onto
right,
the floor.
I'm done here.
So you're in the OR. Everything you have on, your gowns are waterproof. You have face masks on. You have gloves and hats. The whole shebang.
Yeah, I was gonna say. You said they got pretty well covered up for this.
They were in the OR. They looked like normal OR people. All right, and the doctors in the OR, nurses, and all that. Nurse says all of these things were about as helpful as rain boots against a fire hose.
Sounds like it.
It says the bed was in the middle of the room, an easy 7 feet from the nearest wall. But by the time we were all done, I was still finding bits of rotten flesh plastered against the back wall.
Oh, God.
The surgeon continued to advance his blade, and the torrent just continued. The patient kept seizing against the ventilator. So the ventilator is what they put them on so they can breathe while they're in surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like fighting against this. Her lungs are like pushing against this ventilator. Pretty common apparently. Mm-hmm. And with every contraction, more of this goo
just kept like splashing out
all over the floor.
Never-ending geyser.
And within minutes, she says it was seeping into their shoes.
No. Oh, God. Find a different line of work.
Yeah,
Guntown
at that
Mountain
point,
might be hiring.
Guntown Mountain might be hiring.
It's like,
it might be more worthwhile.
They got a
than
bunkhouse. You can drink your.
Yeah, the bunker. Go to the bunker.
You can drink your problems away. It's like,
nurse, she's nearly 12 feet away. She says her jaws dropped she still has her mask on, but her jaws dropped inside of this. The other nurse there is dry heaving, and the surgeon is tiptoeing to keep it from soaking into his socks anymore. The other nurse, not the one telling the story, screams and says, "I just threw up in my mask," and then runs out of the room, still throwing up.
And this is all just the sight.
This is the sight, and we're starting to get the smell of this stuff, apparently.
God, yeah.
Because I mean,
well, I want to tell a story here real quickly, if you don't mind.
By all
here.
means.
So, in high school, so as I mentioned just a little bit ago, my mom was an anesthesiologist, worked in the medical field. In high school, because when we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do for when we went to college, me and my brother, my mom actually let us go watch an open heart surgery.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very fascinating, the sight wise, and we went and saw it, and it was unique. It was kind of a heavier set woman, like the woman in the story, but the problem was we were ready for the sights. The sights weren't that bad, but the smell of the skin being cauterized, and I turned to my brother, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "No." And
so neither one of you are set for the medical field.
No, and we got carried out. My brother fainted on the shoulder of a nurse that was carrying us out of the room.
Oh, goodness.
And neither of us decided to go into the medical field after that.
Yeah, that'll put the nail in the coffin.
I can only
right
imagine. That was just burning skin. I can't imagine what these doctors
When I initially
through.
read this story, I started to dry heave from this. It was rough.
Oh.
So this nurse, she's just left the room. She's still throwing up. And then she says, then it hit me. The nurse's mouth still wide open within her mask, though. She's not able to believe the volume of liquid that's just like really shooting out of this woman's body.
I mean, she's
this rotting woman's body.
I mean, she's a 300-pound woman. That's a lot of meat there. That's coming. A lot of liquid coming out of that.
Yeah, so. even so, like, so you have a foot. You don't know how wide this is, but there's a foot deep
of this abdomen.
Of this abdomen that is rotted, that is shooting out of this woman.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is how she described this. She goes, it was like getting a great big bite of the despair and apathy that permeated this woman's body, this woman's life. I couldn't breathe. Her lungs were full. I refused to fill up any more of the air that was from the room. She's like, I couldn't do it. So she had to run out. She was about to run out of the room right as the anesthesiologist who was there. They have to stay in there and monitor, make sure they're staying under.
You're there for the entire ride.
You're the entire time.
Yeah.
Anesthesiologist, he ran out of the room heaving and shaking before the OR nurse ran out. She describes him as an ex-NCAA D1 tailback. He's 6'2", as he's running out and basically throws the door open. And it gives it just enough time to glimpse the first nurse still throwing up outside the door into a sink that's in the hallway.
Oh. Oh my God.
Another geyser of pus splashed across the front of the surgeon. And according to the nurse, the YouTube clip of David at the dentist kept playing in her head when he says, "Is this real life?"
Oh my God.
Apparently it's a thing within like OR rooms or operating rooms. No matter where in the world this is, they always have a bottle of peppermint oil.
Peppermint oil?
Peppermint oil. Apparently,
like one of those essential oils?
Like essential oils or even just peppermint extract. Apparently what they do with it is that if the smell is really bad in a patient's room, so like, for instance, this story.
It's going to take a lot of peppermint oil.
It's going to take a lot of peppermint oil.
Yeah.
But they take the peppermint oil and they put it on the inside of their mask. So that all they smell is the peppermint. So it's just overwhelming. This woman, the OR nurse, she runs to go find this peppermint oil. She knows exactly where it is. She knows exactly the cabinet in. She knows how long it's going to take her to get there. She runs to this cabinet, opens the door. It's an empty bottle.
Oh no! There was a lot of situations happening in the hospital.
Some jerk used that whole bottle and left it empty. Didn't tell anybody.
I feel like that stuff you want to take inventory of is like, okay,
yes!
You got enough towels, you got enough syringes. Oh, peppermint oil. We guess we don't need to worry about that too much.
Yeah, no, that's the one thing you need to make sure you have on hand. Apparently, in this situation,
there was like, oh, there's not going to be an exploding geyser in room 4 today.
Yeah, room 4, no exploding pararectal abscesses today.
It's because Billy Bob was in charge of inventory that day.
Billy Bob was.
I got laid off from Guntown Mountain, so I'm doing inventory.
Maybe this isn't Bowling Green. Maybe Dinky is the anesthesiologist.
Doing magic. Doing magic. It's like, watch me make peppermint disappear.
So the nurse, she finds the next thing she can find, which is mastisol, which is apparently an abrasive rub they use for bandaging. I'm probably saying that wrong, but that's mastisol is best way I can look at it.
Basically, at this point, anything
with a smell to it.
Yeah.
Not as good as peppermint, apparently.
I'm assuming there's a Starbucks in this place. Just go down and buy a peppermint mocha, throw that in your mask, and get back in there.
Oh gosh, I don't. I mean, the thing is, though, that's going to be brown. I'm not going to want to see anything brown at this point.
I mean, they're covered in it, right? I mean, at this point, you've committed to the bit. Yeah,
yeah, I guess so. I mean, you're.
So they're throwing They're throwing this stuff in their mask now?
They're rubbing this mastisol all on the inside of their mask, just anything,
Mhm.
anything to kind of combat this
I
smell.
mean, by this point, so I'm assuming they're dressed up pretty much like a normal doctor, like they're scrubs and then they've got their extra layers on and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, they're like
You
normal
need to go,
OR setting.
You need to go. I think you need to go full Walter White if you're going to finish this.
Oh,
surgery.
yeah.
Like the hazard mask.
Well, the
hazard
surgeon
suit.
couldn't leave the room.
He was still in there.
The surgeon's still in there.
Oh, I thought everyone evacuated.
No.
Oh no.
The anesthesiologist.
That poor guy
had left. He
Yeah.
ran out throwing up. The first nurse threw up, but the surgeon's still in there.
Is he the only one in there?
I think he's still the only one in there.
God bless that soldier.
At least according to the story.
You bring that stuff and put that in his mask first because we're sticking that out.
Yeah, I mean that man is a hero.
Yeah.
Both for this story and for being a vet. So they get in there, they start to rub this Mastisol on the inside of their masks. And it's not working as well as peppermint would, but anything's better than nothing.
Yes.
But they're apparently now 1/3 of this OR floor, to quote, is thoroughly coated in what could easily be mistaken for a combination of bovine afterbirth and maple syrup. So it's just everywhere at this point.
Yes.
There's no escaping this. They're rubbing this stuff in there. The anesthesiologist, he's back in there, and he grabbed it now, and so he's dousing his mask with it just so he can stay with the machine to make sure this woman doesn't die from the medicine or anything. Apparently, they didn't find this out until afterwards. But this Mastisol they've been rubbing, it's basically like glue, and they've all gotten a little bit high from huffing it. But I don't think it ends up impacting them too much.
Are you sure they didn't know that beforehand, or did they realize this is the only way we're going to be able to get through
Maybe
this?
subconsciously she knew that.
Medical malpractice aside, that we've never been experienced something like this.
So the anesthesiologist, he's back in there. At this point, though, the smell has completely engulfed this OR room.
I'm surprised just the OR room, the whole hospital.
It's progressing like a mustard gas rolling across the battlefield
of the entire hospital.
So at the other end of the OR hallway, apparently it's about 40 feet long, the nurses at the other end are starting to dry heave.
Oh no!
So it's overtaken everything at this point.
This entire hospital.
The entire hospital. She said it's like the underground river of ooze from Ghostbusters 2, except dirty. Oh, so dirty. So the OR nurse then she gets back into the room where the patient's presumably still under and still has pus
just
like
all
oozing
over.
Out of her.
Yeah.
It's still coming out of her. It hasn't stopped yet.
Yeah.
Of the patient.
Continuous geyser.
The surgeon who can't leave, he has to stay there. He needs help. So the OR nurse, she's there. She's helping him. The surgeon is, I guess, using his tools to reach into this abscess, and has to basically scoop out
what's left.
I
mean, it's not just coming out naturally like everything else.
No, it's just laying down. I mean, not everything's coming out.
I guess that's it. You're just fighting upriver like a salmon.
Apparently, it's like one of those zombie apocalypse, like you see in the fan forums. The guys standing over the bodies of dead tissue, and but there's all this she said the bovine afterbirth and maple syrup. He was performing surgery in the swamps of Dagobah, except the swamps had just come out of this woman's anus and there was no Yoda.
And that's where is that it?
No, they're still going here.
Oh no, yeah.
There's not much left, but it's still going.
I was just
for the next 10 minutes, he's still scraping the inside of this abscess until all the dead tissue is out. and like you talked about with cauterizing, dead tissues like that, but oh so much worse.
Oh yeah,
It's bad.
it smells horrific.
It's really
Yeah.
bad. It's everywhere. It's all over his gown. It's all over the floor. It's all over the wall. It's horrible. 10 minutes goes by. They finish up all the paperwork as soon as they can. They get her.
So they finish it.
They finish it.
God bless it.
They put some gauze on the abscess. They tape her up. Then I guess they took her out of anesthesia, and then they ship her off to the recovery ward. The cleanup process is this next stage.
Oh no.
So now the surgeons and the nurses, they don't have to do the floor cleanup and all that. But what they do is they take basically an alcohol shower to clean up. So I don't know exactly how this works, but apparently they took like 4 or 5 bottles of what is essentially rubbing alcohol and just douse themselves in it to clean and remove
everything that was on
all
them.
the filth that was on them.
I mean, you gotta take those clothes you're wearing and burn them.
Oh, just burn them.
Yeah, it's like
Don't burn them because that's just gonna smell even worse. Because then you're just burning the dead flesh.
yeah.
You just put that in a nuclear reactor or something.
Yeah, it's like
Let it dissolve or something.
These are done.
These are
forever unclean.
Forever unclean. Bottom of the ocean. I said but apparently the stench seeped into their skin. And that's why it took so many bottles of this alcohol to get it out, because they basically had to remove layers of their skin to get the stench off of them.
Oh no. It's like just one shower wasn't enough for him. Like, all right, it's like getting sprayed by a skunk. Like, it's like tomato bad.
So much bad.
Yeah.
So much worse. The one nurse goes and says that the surgeon, in 2.5 years, uttered the only negative comment she had ever heard out of him, and all he said was, "That was bad." Which has got to be the understatement of that entire year. Whatever year this took place in.
This is the surgeon who stuck the entire time.
He stood that entire time.
Former military, just oh gosh.
Yeah,
that was bad.
You said she goes on to say, and this is pretty much the end of the story, that it took the housekeepers an hour to suction up the fluid and debris, not to clean everything, but just to basically wet vac everything off the floor before they can, go in with the mops and all that afterwards. They then closed that OR off and quarantined it for 2 to 3 more days just to let the smell get out and all the cleaning supplies to really get their work done. And that's where we end.
And that's the story.
The Swamps of Dagobah, and that's the story.
I'm just, oh my God. I can't imagine.
What gets me is the instant
that they poked it.
It just shoots out.
It's like, all right, here we go. Easy sort.
Boom.
Oh, it's like,
It's like when you pop a water balloon, you just kind of prick it and it just goes, and it just
blows up in your face.
That's what I imagine.
That's what I was thinking too. Like they're just literally leaning over it, pop it, and a face full of it just goes.
Because it's not just it's pus, which if you've ever had any kind of infection where it had pus involved, it already smells bad.
Yeah.
But in addition to pus, you have fecal matter, which doesn't smell good. But then you also have rotting flesh. This is the good. Unholy trinity of smells going on
just
here.
Going, and it's all over the room.
It's everywhere.
I can't imagine them coming out of the room and everyone looking at them what's going on? Oh, get out of the way.
Yeah,
run for your life.
Everybody run. And then but you have the vomit from the nurse, the vomit from the anesthesiologist. That's in there too.
Well, so I was thinking about this the entire story too when we finally got to them and the smell taking over the lab and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So did you see that there was a gas leak at UK Good Samaritan Hospital the other day?
No.
Yeah, there's a gas leak, so they shut off like a portion of the hospital.
Oh gosh.
And I just kept thinking to myself, what if this was the story? I was like,
oh, it's a gas leak.
Gas leak. Oh my God. But
I mean,
happy ending, I guess. I guess the lady's okay.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that story ends there. It's as much as I can
assuming
find.
That there are more issues.
I mean, they sent her off to recovery. I mean, hats off to A, nurses, B, surgeons, vets, anybody in that field. You're a brave, brave soul.
Oh, yeah. It's like, those are the stuff. Oh, God.
And nightmares are made out of.
Well, I can reassure you that I was not expecting that type of story.
Well, that's why I chose this one.
Yeah, that was awesome. Makes me glad I didn't still go into the medical field.
Yeah, probably better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't even handle burning skin. I don't know what I'd do with that. I'd quit and go work for Guntown Mountain.
Yeah, Guntown Mountain. You know, they're always hiring.
Yeah. Well, now they are.
Yeah, they're hiring.
Funtown Mountain, not so much.
Funtown Mountain, better days.
Yeah. Gosh. So the Swamps of
Dagobah.
With no Yoda.
But no Yoda.
But no Yoda. All right. Well, thank you, man, for sharing that. So this is the story. You got to hear mine. You got to hear Evan's. Hopefully, if you guys enjoy this, we'll get to do more of these. At this time, I didn't get to do this in the last episode. So, Evan, is there anything that you want to pitch to the audience before we take off here? Social media feeds, anything like that?
Well,
you do have the best Twitter handle of anyone I ever met.
Really, so the backstory of my Twitter handle is not very exciting. So, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you can search it all under Flaky Square.
Flaky Square.
And they're all the same. And the story dates back to when I got an Xbox when I was 13. And I needed to have a username to get online and play with, other teenagers. So I put in the name that I had used when I had a PlayStation, which was Die Hard 713, because I was 11, and when you're 11,
you love Die Hard.
You love Die Hard, and you put your birth date on everything. So Die Hard 713. Somehow there was already a Die Hard 713.
Someone beat you to the punch.
So Xbox, as it randomly generated some usernames for me, Flaky Square was one of them, and I've been using that for the last 12, 13 years.
So you can follow Evan Drysdale on Twitter and Instagram at Flaky Square.
At Flaky Square, FLAKEY.
Or head on down to Cup of Commonwealth. I'll serve you a cup of coffee.
Yeah, if you want me to.
Yeah.
Or tea.
Or chocolate.
Or chocolate, yeah. I have a lot of chocolate as well.
All right, Evan. Well, thank you so much. We hope to have you on the next show, my friend.
I hope to be here.
Boom. Well, that was definitely a doozy. I want to thank Evan for coming back on my podcast and sharing his story here for So Here's the Story. We're going to be having some more October originals down the line here next week, so be sure to check in then. In the meantime, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FITC Podcast, or email the show at friendsinthecorner@gmail.com to get more updates on future episodes. You can also follow me on my personal Twitter at DanPolly14, and you can follow Evan Drysdale at Flaky Square on Twitter as well. So that's it for this episode of Friends in the Corner. I need to probably go shower after that story, but that's a wrap.